Dear friends, now in this video we are going to discuss about a very important alternative fuel, and that is nothing but called as the alcohol. In the last video, as we have discussed about the fuel ratings for SI and CI engine, as well as we have discussed about the different types of alternative fuels. So, in the case of alternative fuels for SI and CI engines, so we know probably in this century it is believed that the crude oil and petroleum products will become very scary and costly to find and produce. Increasing number of automobiles causes this particular great demand of fuel in future. So another problem of exhaust emission of IC engine causes air pollution and human health problems. So one more reason is that developing country like India pays huge money to import petroleum product from the foreign countries. So there is a need to identify, produce and distribute alternative fuel cheaply. So alternative fuels are classified as we already discussed, like the solid, liquid and gaseous. So in early days the solid fuel like the coal, then slurry and charcoal have been tried. So the liquid fuels such as the alcohols and gaseous fuels like hydrogen, natural gas, CNG, LPG, biogas, producer gas, blast furnace gas, coke oven gas, then the benzoyl, acetone, then this ethyl either biodiesel from algae, karanja oil, edible oil, etc. are studied, and extensive research is also going on in this particular field of different alternative fuels. So this is something about why there is a need of the alternative fuels. So specifically when we talk about the one of the very good alternative fuel, and we can say this is one of the important future fuel when we compare with the other fuel, and that is nothing but called as the alcohol. So specifically, the alcohols are available in the two form. One is ethanol, and another one is a methanol. So the liquid fuels like ethanol and methanol can be obtained both naturally and artificially. Some advantages of the alcohols, which are the first advantage is high octane number, and it works efficiently at higher compression ratio, high flame speed. This is the major advantage of use of alcohol as an alternative fuel. The low exhaust emission. Then the third one, high latent heat of vaporization, that is HFG, results in cooler intake process, high volumetric efficiency and reduced work input in compression stroke. So these are the few advantages of the alcohol when we are going to use the ethanol and methanol. So we can say ethanol and methanol are the product of alcohol. So when we talk about the disadvantages of alcohols, those are the alcohols have low energy content or less calorific value. Exhaust gases contains more aldehydes. Alcohol is much more corrosive than gasoline fuel. The poor ignition characteristic. So again, few disadvantages are also there. So when we again talk about the use of methanol for SI and CI engine and its suitability as a fuel. So in this case, the pure methanol and blend with gasoline can be used for IC engine. So in this particular case, the blend is nothing but we can mix the amount of methanol along with the fuel, that is nothing but called as a blend, with gasoline, means with the petrol, and which can be used for IC engine. The most common mixture are M85, that is the meaning is 85% of methanol and 15% of gasoline, and the M10, that is 10% of methanol and is near about 90% of gasoline. So the variation in the mixture can also be tested. Two fuel tanks are used and then mixture is prepared in mixing chamber using this ECU, that is electronic control unit. Proper mixture, air fuel ratio, ignition, injection timing, wall timing are being adjusted. So again, the methanol can be obtained from the fossil and renewable sources. The example like coal, petroleum, products, then the natural gases, the biomass, then the wood, or even etc etc. Okay, so emission from engine using M10 are same as gasoline. So with M85 there is a measurable decrease in hydrocarbon and carbon monoxide, that is HC and CO exhaust emission, but the NOx, that is nitrogen oxide, increased largely, and which is near about 500%. So methanol can be used as a dual fuel for CI engine. Methanol is not good fuel for CI engine as it has high octane number, but small quantity can be mixed with diesel, which give good results. It is a attractive fuel for developing country because of cheaper source than diesel. So this is something about the suitability of methanol fuel in the case of this particular one of the alternative fuel. So when we talk about the ethanol can be used as alternative fuel for IC engine. This particular use in the case of gasoline, and the mixture is 90% of gasoline and 10% of ethanol. So in this particular case for E10, no further engine modification needed. So again, easily we can use 10% of ethanol along with the 90% of petrol, and very minor engine modifications are required in this particular case. Ethanol can be made from this ethylene or from this fermentation of grains and sugar. So from the sugar mills wastage product, sugar mill slurry, we can produce the ethanol. So ethanol is one of the product from the sugar factories wastage. Much of it is made from the corn, sugar beets, sugar cane, and even cellulose of wood and paper. So both ethanol and methanol have high self-ignition temperature, hence very high compression ratio, that is become 25 to 27, which is required for the self-ignition, and it would make engine extremely heavy and expensive. The various methods like this micro fog unit, pneumatic spray nozzle, vaporizer, carburetor, and fuel injector are adopted for induction of alcohol into intake manifold. So the calorific value of alcohols are lower than the diesel, and hence the large quantity of alcohol need to be used for producing same power. In the case of this particular ethanol and methanol, the calorific value and the latent heat of vaporization is high, so that the temperature and pressure at end of compression comes down due to their evaporation. If alcohol induction rate exceeds a limit, the injected diesel won't ignite and engine fails to work. So this is something about the use of ethanol and its suitability as a fuel in the case of IC engine. So I hope you understood these particular things about the suitability of ethanol and methanol in the case of this particular alternative fuel. So thank you so much for watching the session.